What's up, everybody, and welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is another Black Diamond video, and I am so happy to finally talk about this show because this show has been out for a while, and I just recently watched the whole entire first season, and I must say, brilliant work. Just superb work. And I am talking about the show Bel-Air, which is on Peacock, which was created by Will Smith and is actually based on the comedy sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is a iconic TV show. And I must say, they really did a great job with turning this comedic piece into a drama. And it just made the characters even more relatable. And it really just gave them a different space in this current generation, because The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when it was on air, I was in grade school. I think I was like in the second or third. I think I was like in the first or second grade when it first came out. And by the time it ended, I was like towards the I was like in middle school. So the fact that they were able to do this show again and make it a drama for another generation, I just thought was just pure genius. And I just loved how they literally kept the blueprint of the original show, but then gave it a dramatic twist. Like the beginning, like with Will. You know, Will is hanging out with his best friend Trey. You know, Trey on the original was played by Don Cheadle, but him and Trey are best friends. And, you know, Will is very, I would say, confident, but then also arrogant at the same time. So he decides, because this one of the dudes in the neighborhood, you know, challenged him to a ball game and pretty much called him soft, he decides that he's going to go play ball. And Will, at this time, is living in Philly. He's a star basketball player, and he's got scholarships literally at his fingertips. You know, got everything in the world going for him. And this was a great how they displayed this, how like you can have everything in the world going for you, and just one mistake you can lose it all. Because that's exactly what happened, you know, at this game. You know, there was a known drug dealer there who decides that he's gonna if Will wins, he's gonna pay him this big whop of money. But if he loses, he got to work for him. So here it is. Will is already trapped. And then after he wins the game against the dude who challenged him, the dude, being a sore loser and being a straight up basic bitch, decides to throw the ball, and instead of it hitting Will, it hits the drug dealer guy, and the drug dealer think Will threw the ball at him, and a fight breaks out. Will pulls out a gun. He gets locked up. And then all of a sudden, he gets out, and the drug dealer pretty much promises that he's going to kill Will. So, because of the hype and because of the panic, Will's mother decides to send him to Bel-Air to live with his aunt and uncle. So you moving with your auntie and uncle and living in Bel-Air. Yeah, that's exactly how it went down. She didn't even tell him what the deal was. She literally just drew his ass in the airport and told him along the way, you're going to go stay with your aunt and uncle. You know, you my only son, and I'm not going to let nobody take my only son away from me. So your ass going to Bel-Air. So he goes to Bel-Air, and you can just see this is a totally different world. And one of the first people he meets is Jazz. You know, Jazz was his boy that was played by DJ Jazzy Jeff. And they're still boys to this day, you know, iconic, you know, duo. And to see Jazz's character, you know, where he's actually an entrepreneur, you know, he's got this real cute swag. And in this one, Hillary likes him, you know, and Hillary and him have like a really interesting connection. So it was cool how they put a twist on it, because, you know, because, like, there was, like, one episode in the original where she was nice to Jazz. You know, it was the episode that featured Queen Latifah. But other than that, she couldn't stand Jazz, and Jazz was always flirting with Hillary. So it was cool to kind of see a twist where Hillary and Jazz actually have a rapport with each other. And it's cute. So he's the first person that really interacts with Will when he first gets to Bel-Air, and they step out on this terrace where they're overlooking the city, and he pretty much says that, look, this city will try to break you and will try to change you. Don't let that happen to you. So already, him and Jazz have already built this close bond, and he meets someone that speaks his language, up in Bel-Air. But then when he gets to Bel-Air, he realizes how much of a totally different world he's in. We see Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv is very glamorous, but if you mess with her babies, that West Philly will come out and she will mess you up. And I loved how this actress played Aunt Viv. She is very regal. She's very put together. She's very intelligent, but you mess with her kids or you mess with her man, she gonna get in your ass. And that's just real for all black mothers. Black mothers don't play when it comes to their children. And Janet Hubert did a great job doing that in the original series. Like that scene when she picked up Carlton and Will from the hood, and she told the little hood dudes off, and they backed down. Because it's like, yeah, y'all don't play with Black Mama. Black Mama ain't to be messed with. And it wasn't until she left that they started talking shit to Will. So it's cool how they still kept that element of Aunt Viv. Then we meet Hillary. And some people say that they didn't really like the new Hillary. I actually kind of enjoyed her. She's pretty much into social media, just like Hillary was into being a talk show host and being in the world of entertainment. This Hillary's the same way, but she is pretty much Instagram famous. And all of a sudden, here it is, she's, and on top of it, she's a really good cook. So she's really trying to build her business. And you just really see all the ups and downs that she goes throughout the season. But I think the girl that plays her is just gorgeous. She's just pretty. Just beautiful girl. We also see Ashley. And Ashley, being the youngest, she had a twist with her character where her character is pretty much questioning, who she's attracted to as far as her sexual orientation. Because there's this boy that's attracted to her, but she's attracted to this girl. But then when she sees that the girl is into Will, it kind of gives her first heartbreak. But I loved how they did that with Ashley, to see that Ashley is and the only person she told was Hillary. So her and Hillary have this very close connection as sisters. And even though I think Vivian senses something, Ashley won't say anything because she doesn't feel comfortable to tell them yet. But I just thought the role of Ashley was done very well, and I really liked her character. Next, I'm going to talk about Carlton, child. They did a phenomenal job of how they pretty much flipped Carlton's character. Because we always saw in the original show that Carlton always felt, that he could never compete with Will. Like, he always saw Will as competition. And he always felt like he wasn't black enough, because Will had this swag. And the reason why he has swag is because he's from Philly, and he grew up in the hood, so he has this swag about him. Whereas Carlton was raised in Bel-Air, and Carlton's very intelligent. Carlton is very astute. Is a well accomplished man, but he has no swag because he grew up around white kids. He totally grew up in a totally different environment, and I loved how they displayed this because Carlton was getting on my last nerve. There were moments where I just wanted to beat the brakes off of Carlton because Carlton was just doing some mean, malicious shit, and then on top of it, Carlton is addicted to cocaine. He's taking Xanax. Like, the boy has serious anxiety issues, which is understandable if you're someone that grew up in an environment that's foreign to you, and you always had to walk on eggshells to be perfect. I mean, one, your father is a well-known attorney, and you're growing up with all of these rich white kids going to this prestigious school, Bel-Air Academy. You know, he had to always overexert himself to be the best, to the point that it's become detrimental to him. And, you know, we see that there's this tug of war between him and Will because things come so easy to Will. Because Will has what you call that je ne sais quoi, or the it factor. Like when Will walks in a room, people notice him. And definitely this girl who used to date Carlton, who now has a thing for Will, that definitely caused tension between the two cousins. But we see later on, Will is the one that's really in Carlton's corner. Carlton begins to realize that Will is his strongest ally, that he can understand why Carlton is the way he is, and why he has these moments where he breaks down, and why he's like so over the top trying to be perfect. And it's because he grew up with that image that he had to be perfect, that he had to be, you know, the best. And a lot of times when you're driven in that type of mentality, it could work against you. And it was actually with Will interacting with him and having that rapport with him that over time, because at first they couldn't stand each other. It was like competition. It was like, yeah, it was literally war between Carlton and Will. But then after a while, just like you saw in the series, the two of them became the best of friends. And even towards the end of the series where Will had this fallout, which I'm about to get to, and he leaves, he breaks down, you know, because he has grown to love Will. Because he see that Will was the only one who understood him. He was the only one that could relate to him. Like, everyone else was kind of passive of Carlton's, you know, issues, because it was like, well, he's Carlton, he'll figure it out, or, you know, that's just Carlton, but not really understanding the type of pain he was dealing with, you know. And Will can relate to that, you know, and that was the great thing about it. Oh, just to let you know, guys, know I got me a new tripod, so I'm loving it. You know, it's great to just have this thing sitting right in front of me, and I can just talk to you freely, and and I feel comfortable. So I'm loving the new tripod. It's everything. Hello. Okay. So now I'm gonna talk about Uncle Phil. And the person I'm definitely gonna say for last is Jeffrey, because Jeffrey was my favorite. I loved how they rewritten Jeffrey's character. But Uncle Phil pretty much is running for district attorney. And we really see how him being the matriarch of his family. Well, I'm sorry, the patriarch of his family. I didn't mean to say matriarch, my bad. Well, him being the patriarch of this family and him trying to achieve this new level of success, and the type and within the process, he has to go back to who he truly is. You know, because here it is, he's then built this whole career for himself. He has this luxurious mansion in Bel-Air, but he's lost touch with the community because he has reached this 7-figure lifestyle. And here it is, you want to relate to people who will probably never see that in their lifetime, or people who are really still dealing with issues like racism and police brutality and etc. So to actually see him and see Will interact with him to get him back to his West Philly roots, that was everything. But then also seeing how his relationship is with Jeffrey, where Jeffrey is not just like, you know, because Jeffrey is not just the butler. Jeffrey is the head of the household. He pretty much is like the head of security. So Jeffrey got like a 007 little twist to him in the series, and I lived for it. Jeffrey by far was my favorite character because Jeffrey got things done. You crossed Jeffrey, you got done. And like, I just loved Jeffrey's character, and I loved his relationship with Phil, and how they really had like this brotherly type of friendship. Even though Jeffrey worked for the family, Jeffrey is family. And we saw that in the original series as well, that Jeffrey was a part of that family. Just like when he wanted to go to the People's Choice Awards and they didn't get him a ticket, Jeffrey showed the fuck out. And Phil ended up getting him a damn ticket. And he was like, oh, thank you, son. Now I won't have to slash your tires. Like we was getting the same thing. Like, you know, he wasn't afraid to stand up to Phil if he needed to. And he wasn't afraid to give his opinion when he needed it. Oh, yeah. And then also, you know, Daphne Maxwell Reid and the woman who played Will's mom in the original series, they made cameos in the series, which I thought was cool. Also, Dwayne Martin had made a cameo in the series as well. Oh, yes. And one of the biggest, I think one of the biggest episodes was when Trey came to Bel-Air to visit Will. Now, in the original, Trey was played by Don Cheadle. And when he came to L.A., he had this little liaison with Hillary. But it immediately ended once she realized when he said you can fly Coach with me back to Philly. She was like, Coach? Like, bitch, no. Like, but the whole time he was in Bel-Air, you know, they was up under each other, you know. But this time, it didn't happen that way, you know, because after what happened, you know, in the park, you know, both of them, well, I think Trey was able to get away, but Will got locked up. And the drug dealer wanted to kill Will. And they almost killed Trey, you know, trying to find Will, because the only people in Philly that knows that he's in Bel-Air is his mom and Trey. And Trey gets shot, but Trey ends up living. And then him and Trey, we really see that there's a strain in their friendship because everything changed from that day. You know, Will had a family that pulled him out of it and put him in Bel-Air. Trey didn't have that. So when Trey comes to Bel-Air and he's thinking that Will's coming back to Philly, and when Will decides not to come back to Philly, they get into this crazy fight. And we really see where things took a turn for them. You know, because Trey was like Will's shadow. You know, his whole identity in a way was because him and Will were best friends. You know, he was kind of like the backup guy to Will. And then now that Will's not there, he's stuck in the hood. You know, he's stuck in Philly. And the thing is, when they got into this big argument, you know, Trey decides to cut his trip short because he's supposed to be there for a week. Trey only lasted for about a day or two and he was out of there. And then like Will was like, look, you can stay the whole week. It's just that me being out here, I realized there's a world far bigger than West Philly. And he said, not for me. And that is where the difference is. That, look, you can escape and come here and live with your family. I don't have access to what you have access to. So we're no longer in the same space. We're no longer in the same path. So that really diminished their friendship. But the thing is, I think that in time, their friendship would heal because they grew up together. They're like brothers. So I thought that piece was very important. Just well as all the things between Carlton and Will, where they finally develop a relationship and a rapport and an understanding of each other. But one of the also things that I would take from this that I think that I want to talk about is when Will's mother came to LA and showed her ass. Like, you could just tell that there was tension between her and Vivian. That even though they're sisters, there's some resentment and some anger that was there. And she came to town for Will's birthday party, and all of that shit exploded at Will's birthday party. And I was just looking at this shit like, really? Like, y'all really gonna carry on at this boy's birthday party? And while she's down there, he asks his mother about his father. And we see early her and Vivian have a conversation about it. Like, we cannot tell Will about his father, because Will has been told that his father left the family and just left them for dead. And she's like, well, we can't tell him the truth, you know, because we later on found out that not only his father's alive, but his father, but also the fact that his father pretty much, he knows of his son, but doesn't have access to him. And I have to say that scene with him and his dad was probably the best scene of the whole entire series. And that was the finale. So I seriously, I don't know if it's been greenlight for season 2 yet, but if it is, it's going to be crazy, because the father shares some shit that made some sense. So here it is. Everybody knows the truth. Well, Uncle Phil, Aunt Viv, and his mom know the truth about his father. The thing is, his father didn't leave the family. Will's father was locked up. He got locked up when Will was like 3 years old. And he was in prison for years. And they never told him the truth about that. They just made him think that his father abandoned him, when that wasn't the truth. So here it is. Will begins to question who his real dad is, and he begins to press the issue, even going to Jeffrey, even after Uncle Phil told Jeffrey, don't go down this road. Do not tell Will about his father or anything. Jeffrey did his investigation, gave the folder to Will, and was like, look, I'm just letting you know, if you open that thing, you're not only will your life change, but this entire family's life is gonna change. So he decides to give it back to give the file to Uncle Phil. He doesn't want nothing to do with it, and within that, he fires Jeffrey. But I'm like, but Jeffrey laid in on Uncle Phil before he did that, and everything he said about his family was dead on. That the whole family is trapped due to Phil's success, that everyone else always falters because of the level of success in the realm of heights that he's achieved. He's literally made his family, in a way, kind of like play second fiddle to who he is. And when Jeffrey called that out, I was like, wow, Jeffrey has a damn good eye. But one thing that I liked about Jeffrey, you know, that the dude, the drug dealer that wanted to kill Will, come to find out, they paid him $10,000. But then once old boy found out Will was in Bel-Air, he still wanted to kill Will. How come when he on a conversation with Trey on the phone, he found out old boy dead? I'm like, oh, that damn Jeffrey is 007, a smooth fucking criminal. And I'm here for it, because he will do what he got to do to protect that family. So yeah, he got rid of old boy smooth. You know, so he has, you know, henchmen that handles things. So old boy got dealt with. Like, cause that was fucked up. Like, dude, you got paid $10,000 to leave Will alone, and yet you still want to kill Will after you took the money? Like, you arrogant. You gotta tell me something, you arrogant motherfucker. I'm like, actually, you need to look in the mirror, bro, because you the arrogant motherfucker. Because you still about getting clout. And on top of it, Will was innocent. Your boy was the one that threw the ball at your ass. You just immediately thought Will did it, because Will was right there. And the thing is, Will was about to get some money from you, so you should use your fucking common sense. Why would he throw a ball at you when he's about to get paid? After you told him you was going to give him a few hundred if he beat old boy, which he did. He smoked his ass. why would he then take a basketball and throw it at you? Mental health, mental illness is real, y'all. But the thing that really got me to was when Will's father, who was played by Marlon Wayans did a phenomenal fucking job playing this part. You know, because he did a phenomenal job playing Ted White in Respect. You know, it got to the point I'd like, damn, is this Marlon? Because we're so used to seeing Marlon as a comedic actor, but to now see him as a dramatic actor, it's wow. Like, I'm highly impressed. But when he starts dropping the bombs about, you know, because eventually, because Jeffrey looked into him, Lou, who's Will's father, reached out to them and wanted to meet Will. So he comes to Bel-Air. You know, he looking bummy, like he living in a halfway house, you know, because he's just getting out of jail and trying to, you know, reintegrate back into society. And that whole show off between him and Will was epic, because he pretty much says, like, your mother is the reason why I ended up in jail. You know, she is the worst damn thing that ever happened to me. And of course, Will gonna defend his mom. But then I was like, I get it. Because here it is. You got Phil and Viv. They are rising up they're rising up, you know, as far as their economic status. And they end up in Bel-Air. She was trying to get her man to live the life that they were living, because she wanted to compete. Because in a way, she saw Vivian as competition. So she put that energy onto him, where he didn't have the education or the connections that Phil had. So he decides to go to the street and hustle and gets caught up and gets thrown in jail. So I'm like, that's interesting that the mom indirectly had a role as to how all of this played out. So that's pretty much what I have, y'all. Get down in the comments and let me know some of your favorite moments from Bel-Air. I can't wait for this show to come back. I am an instant fan. You know, shout out to Will Smith and all the creators of it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually watched it over the 4th of July weekend, which is why you ain't get it, you know, earlier. You're getting it now because I'm just now watching it. You know, with my job, you know, I don't really watch the shows in the same time as much as I used to. So I have to watch things when I get the time. But I thoroughly enjoyed Bel-Air. I'm a huge fan. I can't wait till season 2 comes out. And, you know, get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts. So until next time, everybody, take care.